I didn't do my presentation yet, so
That's
I have
okay.
nothing else to say except let's talk about Knives Out.
Let's talk about Knives Out.
The first thing
Yeah.
I want to say is that Lakeith Stanfield is in this movie, and everybody else is in this movie too.
Yes.
We know that, okay? Everybody's in this movie, but I just personally want to give a shout out. Lakeith Stanfield is in this movie. Name a bad role that you know what I mean? He's good at his job.
He's good. Yeah. hmm
So I'm just saying.
He's the grounding to reality that this movie needs, like his character. But
Yes.
also, that's like Keith
But
Stanfield.
also him, you see him on screen and you're like, oh, yes,
That's
somebody
him.
like this
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right, unless you're stupid, in which case you'll be wrong.
Yeah. And
But
that's
you're
just how it
stupid, so your
is.
opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
hmm
fallacious?
Oh,
No, it's true. So,
Noah, I can never ever tell anyone at work about this podcast because I don't keep a journal. This is just where my thoughts go. I
right.
actually like Noah 90% of the time, but I don't talk
Okay.
about the things that I like with Noah. I only dump the bad things here, and this is one of them.
Right. Okay.
He showed me his letterboxed and he gave Everything Everywhere All at Once 3 stars and said it was mid.
Okay. I mean, at least he has opinions, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Did
And
he have does he have a review? Does he have like a rationale for it, or is it just
I
like
don't know. I
not
didn't
his
look.
not his thing?
I don't
Interesting.
know. He's like, it was just silly and kind of goofy. And he said, 3 words, Google Eye rocks. That was like the thing that he was telling me because I was like,
Right.
I'm legitimately upset by this.
Right.
Um,
The thing is like it is silly goofy, but that's first of all not a bad
on
thing.
purpose.
And secondly,
And
it's not just silly goofy. It is grounded in like some real emotional depth, actually.
yeah,
Some
on
would say.
purpose.
Actually, most would say.
Most would say, yeah, if you have a brain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting. I mean, I
I truly
love
don't.
controversial opinions, but I also think sometimes people are wrong.
Yeah, I also think, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because I mean, we've talked about that movie here on this channel before.
Mm.
We know everything good that this movie did, tried to do, and accomplished
Hmm.
all of them across the board, and then some. Um, but also the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is in that movie, and also she's in Knives Out.
That's true.
And if you
And she
have an
slays
opinion,
both roles, I have to say.
maybe every role,
Hmm.
all the time, ever,
She's Lakeith Stanfield of being
of being, yeah.
of yeah, of being
Yeah.
I was gonna say of being Jamie Lee Curtis. It's funny to like yeah, because Lakeith Stanfield is the Lakeith Stanfield of like being good in every role that he is, and you enjoy his movies because he's in them.
Yeah, yeah.
So then Jamie Lee Curtis is the Lakeith Stanfield of being Jamie
Being
Lee
Jamie Lee
Curtis.
Curtis. That's so funny.
And people throw around that phrase all the time.
Yeah. I mean,
It's true.
it's possible also that she could be the British. Shit, I keep doing that. Damn it. Just cut that
Mendler.
out. Just end the call. Just end the call. No, I've had enough.
I'm
I'm just gonna
sorry, Bridget. I
cry.
didn't mean it. Miss Mendler, if you're watching, we didn't mean it.
No. We
It
love
was an
you so
accident.
much. I'm so I'm the most embarrassing person that's ever lived.
Were you gonna say that Jamie Lee Curtis is the Bridget Mendler of being Jamie Lee Curtis?
It doesn't matter. Whatever. I might have.
Okay. It's fine. It's okay.
It's
Yeah. If somebody is the Bridget Mendler of something, they're really good at all sorts of
they're
things.
really good. Yeah, and I'm not the Bridget Mendler of speaking. That's okay.
Nobody is. Don't be so hard on yourself.
You keep holding myself to these impossible standards
I
of
know.
being Bridget Mendler.
Yeah, but it's like how
Yeah.
literally how can I? I have to say there's a woman on Dancing with the Stars this season who is she's not it's not Bridget Mendler. I'm not saying that Bridget Mendler is on Dance with the Stars this season, but I'm saying she is Bridget Mendler. The
Yeah.
first like theme of the season, every dancer had like their personal like anthem or
Beautiful.
theme song that they would dance to, right? And
Uh-huh.
hers was I'm Every Woman, Whitney Houston. Hello.
Hey, let's
And
go.
but it was so true because she's famous for being on like Real Housewives or something, but then she also I think is a musician and a lawyer and a mortician and a mom. So she's like, yeah, my song is I'm Every Woman. And I was like, she is Every Woman. That's the most accurate song she possibly could have picked. She does everything. It's like shocking. She's a mortician. Yes. But that's just like as a side note, because she like also is a lawyer and also is like a small business owner, entrepreneur, and she's also a mom, and I think she might be a model. I don't remember what all of her things were that she does, but I'm like, how do you have time? So impressive. And then she's not even a bad dancer either. It's like, come on.
You gotta leave some room for the rest of us to be successful.
Yeah, like she's every woman. No, don't even bother anymore. If
That's
you want
so
to be a
funny.
woman, it's taken. Sorry, the position has been filled.
Oh no.
What are we gonna do? I mean, that's it. You just have to, you're stuck being like some guy.
I don't I don't know what the conservatives are gonna do about that.
I know.
Because
Probably
they're
the
so
same
gung
thing they
ho
always
about
do.
people being
Nothing.
it's gonna be so frustrating for them. By the way,
Yeah.
someone was talking about it at work. I think it might have been Chance, about Trump's uh anti-Kamala ad.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's true because I haven't verified it. I didn't want to look it up. I didn't want to
Hmm.
spend any time on it.
Of course not.
Um, but he said it was something like Kamala is for they them, not you, or something. And he was like, and that's so true. Like if you really think about it. And I was like, we like this ad for the two of us. We like this ad for very separate
Yeah.
reasons. Yeah. But that's so
Um,
funny, right?
ah,
Even the
the
idea of
thing
that.
that I love and hate about Donald Trump is that he's so funny.
He's
It's like
so
irritating that
funny.
he's the most hilarious person in the world, usually
Yeah.
unintentionally, but it's like
Yeah.
give everybody else a chance. He's so funny.
He really is. It reminds me of that Sad Boys clip where they're talking about him with Drew Gooden and maybe Danny. Um, and they're like, it's so hard because you want to laugh at him so bad, but then like that's what got him the like acclaim in the first place and gave him
Right.
more attention than he deserves. But he
Yeah.
is so funny.
Yeah. It's like if society
It's
is right
hard.
about one thing, it's thinking that he's funny, right?
Yeah.
If they're
Yeah.
wrong about one thing, it's like thinking that he could be competent in any leadership position of literally any kind, right?
Yes.
That's a bad thing. That was
Yep.
absolutely a disaster. He has the
hmm
hugest criminal record of anybody in the world,
Yeah.
but it's
Real.
kind of slay because he's funny. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. It's just devastating. Everything he said at the debate was like, if he were not a potential
Right.
US president
Like
part
if this
two,
were a bit, it'd be
it
so
would be
funny.
so funny. Like
But then
SNL
you
couldn't
feel
write
this like
anything funnier than that.
existential dread of like,
Yeah.
oh, he's being for real and he has actually led this country into hell before and he will do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah! It's like
Oh
scary.
no.
It's scary
It's
enough that it shouldn't be funny, but it's like low-key a little bit still funny. Also,
it's
one
yeah.
time in one of the debates when Biden was still running, he said something that was like literally so true, where he's like, Joe, you and I are up here wasting everybody's time while the country is going to hell. And I was like, just something like that, where I was like, that's what we're literally all saying. Get out of here. The only time that he's spoken for all the people unanimously. You are wasting everybody's time and driving the country to shit. Like, yeah, good job, buddy. You
What do
got
they
that
say about broken clocks?
right.
Oh my gosh, we live in a society. Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
Um, I Knives Out is a good movie.
Lights Out is a good movie. I
It's a good
liked
movie.
it,
Yeah.
and it's good too. Sometimes
Both of
movies
those
are
things.
different, but this time they're not different. They're the same.
The same. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Usually they're the
Um,
same, actually, because I really have a hard time enjoying things that are bad.
it depends on what kind of
But
bad,
it depends
right?
on what kind
Like,
of bad.
yeah, yeah, because like Lone Ranger bad, that's just bad. It's
Bad.
not fun to watch.
Ooh.
But something like
I watched this movie recently called Ghost Fever, which was filmed in 1985 and then hidden and not released until 1987, and then it had a very limited theatrical release.
that's funny.
It's bad, but it's fun, but it's like not good, you know? So I liked it. I gave it 2.5 stars, which is only half away from Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's high praise.
That reminds me, okay, of two things. I would love to see it. I'm gonna put it on my list. The
It's
other
on
thing is I
YouTube
was
for free.
excellent. I love it
Mhm.
when movies are that.
Me too.
Um, I was looking through reviews of The Lone Ranger to help inspire me for ideas for this, and I saw
Uh-huh.
one that was like, the best thing about this movie is the potential of it. The worst thing about this movie is the movie. And I screenshotted it. I was like, this is like what Olivia said. That's so funny. And then I looked at the name and it was your review.
It was my review. That's so funny. It's like
Yeah.
either somebody else and I have word for word left the exact same review on Letterboxd, or that was me.
Yeah. It
And
was
if it was the
it,
first option, that's my soulmate.
mhm.
But
That's why I
unfortunately,
was
it
so
was
excited about it. I just didn't
the
think to look at the username before,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
You're like,
Um,
yo, no way. I wish you had
oh,
sent it before noticing. That would have been really funny.
that would have been really funny. Yeah. I should have
I
anyway,
would be like,
but
Bestie, the call is coming from inside the house in a much more literal sense than ever before.
And the second thing that it reminded me of is that last night I had a dream. I had a dream about a movie that I was watching. It was like a Lifetime made for TV movie, right?
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
I was watching it. It looked like it was made in like the early 90s. Like it had the fashion, like women
Great.
wearing those fashionable, like kind of matching skirt and
Hmm.
blouse,
Yeah,
you know,
cute.
you know.
Yeah.
They had 90s hair. It looked very 90s, but they kept talking about COVID and the after effects of that. And so the whole time I was like, what are they trying? Like, what is it? Are they trying to talk about
What's the
this?
message of this movie?
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. But the whole plot of the movie was this. It was the main woman, and her name was like Raquel or something. And it was like a friends situation, right? There was a group of like six of them. Um, and she
And
had
it
like a
was in the
lesbian,
90s.
it was in the 90s, and she
Yeah.
had like a lesbian will they won't they with her friend Laura, I want to
Okay.
say. Yeah. Um, but then the other guy in their friend group kept breaking into her apartment, Raquel's apartment, and like sneaking a red stiletto shoe on her foot while her and Laura were sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember looking online at when I was watching the movie and reading all sorts of discussion about the symbolism there. And the whole time I was like, I just don't like I don't get it. I don't get it. Because Raquel was like genuinely torn up between these two options.
Laura and the man who breaks into her apartment?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
is a sin to be gay, so
Yeah. And
yeah.
not to break into a woman's apartment if you're meant to be together.
If you're meant to be together, it's literally fine.
Yeah. Anyway, I think the movie ended with them uh becoming a threesome,
Okay, good.
a throuple, if you
Yeah,
will.
I will.
Yeah. They will too.
Because it's okay that he broke into their apartment because he was actually meant to be with both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
I do remember seeing that there was a sequel. I did not watch it, but
Well, maybe tomorrow
it,
night.
in the amount of time that I remembered the dream until now, I have theorized that the sequel is Laura killing the guy. I don't know if that is true at
Ooh, that's
all. I
so great.
just
It's a Halloween sequel.
oh
Yay.
Oh, how cute.
We have so many dreams that would be genuinely insanely good movies.
Yeah,
It's like heartbreaking that people other than us get to be in charge of movies.
it's so sad because they keep making movies like I'm not even going to talk about it again.
It's like
It doesn't.
sickening. They keep making
It's
live action remakes of animated movies, which has literally never, like, name one time that the live action remake after an animated movie has been better than the original animation. I'll wait.
you should put in one of those SpongeBob title cards like,
Yeah. 10 years later.
yep.
Yeah.
Some say they're still waiting.
Yeah. hmm it hasn't happened and it's not going to happen because the
Mm-mm.
whole point of animated movies is that you have more freedom to tell stories in like a symbolic way.
Yep.
So like why would you then make it like more concrete and less fun?
We will be waiting forever for the answer to that question as well because there are no good answers.
Every Hollywood executive die my blade challenge.
Yay!
Yay.
Pretty please.
Anyway,
I'll pay money to see that. I'm trying
so
to tempt them.
anyway, Knives Out, now that's a good movie.
Knives Out. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
As we said, Lakeith Stanfield is in it, and we
Sure.
really can't stress that enough.
No.
He's one of my favorite people to see on a screen.
Yeah.
Any
And
movie that he's in,
he's
I'm like, I'm gonna watch the whole thing start to finish.
yeah. And it's
And I haven't been disappointed yet.
no, because he
I saw the
delivers.
Haunted Mansion remake with him and Owen Wilson twice. Okay? Is it good? No.
But like he's Stanfield is in it.
Come on.
Yeah. 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 Uh-huh.
Yeah. hmm
I remember going to see it was Jurassic Park. Okay. I went to see it with Allison and Michael and several of her other friends who I remember did not like Jurassic Park
hmm
because
Because what?
like they were like it was fun when they were talking about the theoretical stuff and the potential problems and the morality and then it just turned into a monster movie. I was like th it
Correct.
is that though.
hmm
Yeah. So I remember having a hard time with that. But
Yeah.
I remember seeing the trailer for the Haunted Mansion and I was like, I know that guy. I know that guy, even though
Yeah.
he looks totally different because he's got like long
He
hair.
has long
Um,
hair and he looks depressed.
and he looks depressed. Yeah, he had a slamming fit too. I remember he's
Mhm.
wearing like so much jewelry.
Yeah. Everyone in that movie is dressed to the nines, I will say. Yeah.
Hmm. I do like Owen Wilson.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
were good. They had good on-screen chemistry. You know, they were like a believable love-hate relationship type
Oh,
vibe. Yeah.
I do like that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's great in Knives Out too. Like I said, he's like the grounding presence
Yeah.
in the movie because
And it's
Marta's like freaking
perfectly
out.
yeah, March is freaking out
Mhm.
naturally. She would be. And
Yeah.
I like that
Well,
he
Blanc
is
is
very
there.
like, can we move things along? Like he's kind of keeping things going by just being like, let's be serious for 1 minute, right? His
Yeah.
partner is like having the time of his life. So
Yay! Murder
funny.
mystery.
We're gonna solve, hey, we're gonna solve a mystery. He's so funny. Like he will always commit to the bit, and so then the Keith Stanfield has to be like, "Can we commit to like solving a crime? Maybe." Awesome.
Yeah,
They have a great dynamic.
they really do. Yeah, I love that for most of the movie, Lakeith Stanfield wins
Yeah.
until the very end when Benoit Blanc is doing his thing, and then Trooper Wagner is like,
His
"Shut
name is
up,
Trooper
shut up, dude!"
Wagner. Oh,
Trooper Wagner,
that's
like,
his name.
yeah, and he's so goofy. He's having the time
Yeah.
of his life. Yeah, but he's like, "Dude, shut up, or I will kill you." And they'll have
Mhm.
another murder to solve because, like, that's a gentleman sleuth.
Yeah.
He's solving a crime. He had a speech about a donut hole in a donut's hole.
Yeah. He
You
did.
can wait.
Yeah.
And he
And
was right.
that was good. It was like a little refreshing moment.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love them.
Because we
I think
have
they have
both.
a good, like the perfect trope buddy cop
Hmm.
like characters, you know? They put
Yeah,
it so well.
totally.
It was like perfect. You can
I agree.
totally understand like the world that we're creating, where it's like, yeah, it's modern times, but also
Yeah.
We have Foghorn Leghorn Sherlock Holmes. Who cares? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah. The movie does like this is I think I do love when I get into a movie and I feel like hypothetically I could follow the rest of the lives of any one of these characters or any like I feel like I could watch another movie with Trooper Wagner and Lakeith Stanfield
Yes,
solving another crime. I,
absolutely. I would love
abs
that. They were
yeah, that
great
would be
and they were
so
just
fun.
fleshed out enough and believable enough that you're like, yeah, totally. They've been working together for
Yeah.
years.
The only reason that they were overshadowed in this movie was because Benoit Blanc is there, played
Yeah.
by Daniel Craig.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, no, they're obvious. They know that too. They know they're not the main characters in this movie, and
Yeah.
they're both
And they
perfectly fine
allow
with
it.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like hypothetically,
There's
if another
like,
movie ever were to be made, I wouldn't be surprised to see
yeah,
them in the main roles.
I would watch it. And yeah,
Yeah.
I like that there's no power struggle. Literally the whole setup. Like even in the very beginning, they're interviewing the family members individually. And it's like
Yeah.
Lakeith Stanfield's asking the questions, but then also Benoit Blanc is there. And everyone's like,
Lurking.
who's that guy there? And he's like, and then he takes over and that's it. And the two cops are like there because it's their case. But they're
Uh-huh.
not, it's kind of not their case because this guy
Yeah.
is also there.
Because he showed up. Yeah. It is nice because you have the trope of like angry detective cop trope
Mhm.
of like they don't want to give up their case and they're miserable and they don't like that
Right.
this guy's
They
there
hate
and
consultants and they hate everybody who isn't their partner and whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and you have the consultant guy who granted I love that like psych fantastic. I
Mhm.
have no complaints there. It can do whatever it wants forever and it does. But this one, the consultant is like very respectful of the cops, always keeps them in the loop, is very like he they totally work well together. Like you said, there is no power struggle at all. All three of them just know their role and cooperate so fully with each other. It's so lovely to see. It's refreshing.
And it
Yeah.
makes you want to live in a world where any of that was real,
Yeah.
which
We're
would not be nice, you know?
yeah. I do like that Daniel Craig, who has been forced into well, probably not forced, but like the only role that I've ever really seen him in
Mhm.
before this point was like stoic James Bond.
Yeah.
So serious. It has to be like so sexy and like
Mhm.
that type of vibe.
Yeah.
And he opens his mouth in this movie. It
It's
is the most
immediately ridiculous.
it's
It's like
so
they
ridiculous.
have like the shots of like the world building, the close-ups of statues and the grounds and whatever, so they're setting up to be like, ooh, spooky and serious. And then he
Hmm.
opens his mouth and it's the stupidest accent you've ever heard. And it's like,
Yeah.
where is this guy from? Nowhere, right? He's an alien. And like it immediately like shifts the tone just a little bit to where you're not like, oh, this is a stupid movie, but it's like, oh, okay. We're having a fun and playful time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got
We
it.
are gonna
Yeah.
enjoy it a little bit. And it
Yeah.
does like it's never irony poisoned, but
No.
it does acknowledge the trope that it's living in. Like
Yes.
we know this is a murder mystery. The guy is living in a clue board. Like we're gonna have a character say that, but
Yeah.
it does
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
feel it. No point does it take me out of my immersion. It just feels like the characters. It's like what happens in the Mummy. The characters in universe are making jokes about the mummy being a thing, never turning to wink at the audience about it.
Hmm.
They are concerned about these things. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, Lakeith Stanfield, who I cannot remember his character's name for the life of
No,
me.
me neither. I just
That's
was
Lakeith
like,
Stanfield.
that's my guy. And for the movie,
Yeah.
that was it.
Okay. Yeah. So Lakeith
It's
Stanfield
Trooper
is like,
Wagner. Like all the characters have names, and then he's just there as himself, I guess,
yeah,
in my mind.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
He just walked on
It's,
the set and they were like, cool, come on in.
we're gonna write him in. Someone get him pages. But like, do you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
Like,
love
yeah,
a
yeah.
comedy that's like self-aware, but not elbowing the audience about it. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
fine line, but I hate it when they're like, he's right behind me, isn't he? That kind of like thing. You don't have to
Yeah.
tell me that you know what's going on. I want you to just just do it, and I can see that that's happening, right?
Yeah,
So it's
totally.
like the perfect balance of like everybody in it knows that this is a little bit ridiculous and
Yeah.
unorthodox and like old-timey. And so you pick up on that just because that's what's happening in the movie, not because like
Hmm.
nobody's looking at the camera and being like, "Can you believe this?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And most half of the characters too are just ridiculous enough that like the family is just completely out of touch and ridiculous and toxic. So
Yeah,
absolutely they're not going to acknowledge that they're living in this reality because
right.
it's like yeah, it's their reality. You
Mhm.
know?
Hmm.
Like they are just that ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And they're
Marta has
still like
been
just believable enough though, right? Because that's just how
yes.
rich people are.
Yeah.
Some of them are neo-Nazis and some of them aren't, but then they're just very like performative liberals who don't actually believe the things that they say that they believe, right? Like
Yeah.
Joni and Maggie are so superficial, right? They're gonna say that they're standing up for the rights of immigrants and that they don't actually need the money because they're woke or whatever. But at the end of the day, like they betray Marta just as much as everybody else does. Nobody
Yeah.
knows where she's really from. Nobody cares.
No, her, I counted. They say that she's from the wrong country 5 times.
Yeah, everybody says a different
Two
one.
different ones from the
Paraguay,
same character.
Paraguay, Brazil,
Like
like
Guatemala, I think was one.
Guatemala, I think was or Ecuador maybe was the first one.
Ecuador, yeah.
Yeah,
Ecuador, yep. Paraguay, Uruguay.
yeah, yeah.
Y'all.
They're like she's a foreigner, but she did it the right
Yeah.
way.
And immigrants, we get the job done. That line sends me every time. It's so, he's like, Hamilton.
From Hamilton. Yeah.
Or that moment where he calls her, Richard calls her over. He's like, Marta, blah 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 blah. And he like calls her over for her to stand there
Yeah,
like an
yeah.
object.
She's not part of the conversation. She's just like
A
the
show and tell
token
piece.
the token immigrant who did it right in their
Yeah.
family, right?
Right. Right.
And
Hmm.
they say like, "Oh, she's like family to us," but then nobody knows where she's from.
Everyone's like, I thought you should have been invited to the funeral, but I was outvoted. But everyone
Yeah,
says
but
that.
everyone
So
says it, so it's
who
kind of like, interesting. I just wasn't
also like,
invited.
yeah, who would vote against her being invited to the funeral?
Yeah, it
Like
doesn't make
what?
any sense because it's not like she was under suspicion at that time. The funeral happened before any questions were raised about whether or not it was a suicide, right? So it's just like she was his actual friend, his caregiver. She was there at, at the party. She was there for him every single day of his life. Like,
Right. And would it have been like
there's like super no reason for her not to have been there. It's weird because like funerals, I feel like are the time that the most people show up.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like,
Like somebody that you
I've
haven't
never
seen
been
for
to a
20
funeral where you
years would be like,
needed an invitation
right, it's just like you hear about it. And it's like
and
even if
you
you haven't been
go.
close to them for a long time, you're like, well, I should go and pay my respects to their
Right,
family.
yeah.
So you still go. It's like the
Yeah.
weirdest thing, like they had a closed door, invitation only VIP funeral.
Which is weird, but would also be completely
But it's also
believable.
totally in
Like,
character for them. Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're talking about this because it's weird. It's a weird thing to do. Not that it's a plot hole, just because in universe, this is a weird thing for these characters to have done.
Yeah. But it's
Like,
totally believable that they did it because they're
because they're
so
so weird.
full of themselves. They're so
Yeah.
like they have this idea of like exclusivity and whatever that's like the most prevalent ideology in their family.
It's awesome. This movie's so great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
super cool.
I
And I
also
loved
I
it um the whole time you know that it's Marta and Ransom and the man himself. But then you're like,
yeah.
how? Right? So it's like even though you know from the beginning that you could somehow blame it on all three of these people, like, well,
Hmm.
Harlan killed himself, but also probably Ransom did it, but also kind of Marta did it. But you can't
Yeah.
figure out like how that could possibly work. And then
Yes.
it slowly pieces itself together and you're like, come on. It was all
Yeah.
three of them the whole time. It's
The whole
unbelievable.
time.
Like,
That's
why is
see, I
anybody else writing murder mysteries that aren't fun
it
the
should
whole time?
literally
You're
just be Ryan
piece by
Johnson.
piece by piece by piece. And you're like, I have this suspicion, but there's no way I could be right, but I have to be right. And then you are right.
Yeah. because they
I'm
like
like tired of anybody else writing these stories.
amen for several reasons. One, because Ryan Johnson is apparently the only guy who knows how to do it and have fun with it. This one, Glass
Yeah.
Onions, come on. But also because we get to see in these movies Daniel Craig playing the most ridiculous gay gentleman sleuth that has ever lived.
Yeah. And I
And
think
him
he
having the
deserves
time of
it.
his life doing it,
Yeah. Good
you
for
know
him.
that good for him. He deserves it. I will watch 1,000 more of these movies for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even care if they're good after like 50 of them. They don't have to be on this level, but just as long as I know he's getting his enrichment,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be fine.
Yeah,
But also,
exactly.
one more thing too that I like, I think all of this ties back to is that this is the perfect kind of homage movie.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is to murder mysteries what Rango was to westerns. You know, it captures every single element that anybody has ever loved from a murder mystery, but also makes it its own new thing
Yeah.
because you know exactly what happened from the beginning. Like you said, we know Harlan Thrombey committed suicide. We see that Marta had something to do with it, but also Ransom is there, and
Yeah.
there's no way
Suspicious
he's
from the
innocent.
beginning. Like you hear even
Yes,
just his name before you see him on screen and you're like, "Ooh, that guy killed him."
Ransom.
Like for sure, right?
For sure.
Like
For
definitely.
sure.
Why is his
Yes.
name Hugh Ransom and he's not a murderer, you're saying? Mm.
Mm, doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. Like it it's not ironic because it loves murder mysteries. It's not going to make
Mhm.
fun of them, but it's going to be
No,
like,
it's
you
embracing
guys
them. This movie is like I have read
exactly.
every Arthur Conan Doyle book. I have read every Agatha Christie book. You know, it's like
Yes.
I've done my research and I love it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Instead of
absolutely.
being like I hate movies that are like it's a subversion of whatever thing. Like if this movie was a
Hmm.
subversion of murder mysteries, it would spit in the face of these great authors
Yeah.
and it would be boring to watch.
Hmm. 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 And it's neither of those things.
Mm-mm.
It's so much fun to watch.
It's
And
super
also
fun to watch. You're engaged
visually,
the whole time. It's stunning. Okay, the production value, obviously, they have like every famous actor on it. And
yeah.
you know what I mean? So the production
Yeah.
value is like pretty high, but they also like they really embrace that. They have some like really beautiful and interesting moments. It's
Hmm.
fun to
Hmm.
watch visually, and it's also fun to watch because you're engaged with the story. You like the
Yeah.
characters. You also hate the
Yes.
characters, but
Hmm.
enough that like you're invested in what's going on. It's like an enjoyable time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like all of the family, if you knew any of them in real life, they would be insufferable and you would hate
Mhm.
all of them so, so much. But
Of course,
they're
and none of them
entertaining.
would know that. They
Well, because they're
all think
so
that people love them.
self-obsessed.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially Joni. And
I
Toni Collette.
Joni was my favorite like of the family because I love that she like just everything about her. I love that she's a liar. I love that she thinks she's woke.
Yes. Yeah.
Like yeah, like her the conversation that they're having at the party about immigration and whatever and she's like, "Okay, this is exactly like Germany in 1930 whatever, you know."
Whenever.
Like she thinks she knows history and she knows like
Yes,
social
but clearly
issues,
not enough.
but not even she can't name like one date. You know what I mean? Like
1930, whatever.
1930, whatever. She just knows that like, oh, World War II was like in the 40s, I guess. So and Nazis must have happened before that. Like,
Yeah.
you're right, I guess, but like in 1930, whatever. It's awesome.
She's I love her so much. I
Yeah.
love the whole cast, absolutely phenomenal and knocks it out of the park. And
Yes.
movies like these
This
are
had the correct casting. Uh-huh.
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yes. Um, yeah, Toni Collette, my brain, I just said her name just a moment ago. It's
Jamie Lee
not Dame Judi
Curtis.
Dench. Jamie Lee Curtis, thank you.
They have
I'm like,
similar sounding names though. That's true.
yeah, yeah.
Dame Judi
Mhm.
Dench. It's the same kind
Jamie
of
Lee Curtis.
like has the same bite to it as Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar shapes.
Hmm.
Um, I love Jamie Lee Curtis and everything she's in. I feel like she's really leaned into playing those asshole roles where like she's having fun.
Yeah.
She really gets to enjoy it, but she's playing like
I can't
she
believe that everybody
while
thinks she's
playing
a bitch.
the worst person you've ever met,
It's like,
she is critiquing something very like I love
yeah,
it. I
yeah,
love her.
yeah.
You need to have a character like her in a movie. You need to have convincing conflict.
Hmm.
And I love her moment where Marta comes into the house after the funeral and she does this hug that's like she's
Hmm.
it's so brief and she's so clearly like leaning away the whole time, not wanting
Yeah,
to linger at all.
but it's
It's
so
the
good to see you.
perfect cursory hug.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
That is
because she's
a
a
good word for it.
sure. Yeah.
Yes.
And let's talk about Chris Evans. This
Yeah.
man is an actor who
It's
has
like
been
a no,
forced into a pretty boy
yeah.
frame because
Modern Brad Pitt, Leo DiCaprio, maybe.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. From the first Captain America movie, I'll say is a masterpiece. It's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good. Um, and he plays
The issue
because he
that we
has a
have with
personality.
Marvel, right, is that all of these movies are set up to be so good. And then they're like,
Yeah.
hey, what if we make it convoluted and boring at the same time?
Yeah, yeah.
They all crash. Spider-Man, cool, then crashes. Captain America,
hmm
cool, then crashes, right?
Tony Stark. Don't even get me started on how they broke my heart with what they did to him.
Hmm.
Because Tony Stark in first Iron Man movie, he would never have done the things that later Tony Stark does.
No, and
The fact that he
that's
doesn't fight for employee rights when
yeah,
his whole character arc initially, the reason that he became Iron Man was because he saw the negative consequences of his own actions and his own ignorance on the rest of the world, and then
right.
decided to fight to
He decided
change
to change.
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, even
He
if it meant losing
broke.
his fortune, his company's reputation, he's like, I don't care. And yeah, it was like because he was faced with his own mortality for a second, but also because he learned to care about other people. He saw et cetera, et
It
cetera.
doesn't matter what the reason was, right? It matters what the his choice was because of that conflict, right? He's doing
Yeah.
these bad things and then he's like, oh, maybe I should change. And then he could have changed, but then instead they were like, nah, let's make this movie where like Jake Gyllenhaal appears to Tom Holland in Europe for some reason and is like, hey, you want to unionize? And then Tom Holland says no. Why are they on the same team? Because Spider-Man is supposed to be like a poor kid from New York. He's the people's superhero. And then suddenly he just like is in cahoots with a billionaire, which doesn't make sense and isn't relatable. Anyway, what we're saying is that Chris Evans was good in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He it's a tragedy of cosmic proportion that he was cast because of his talent to be Captain America, because then he was forced into the being a Marvel puppet forever,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
he is such
And
a good
it's
actor.
genuinely true of like probably most Marvel actors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like you
really
see them
do.
in other roles and you're like, "Oh, okay. I get that's why they got because they can act."
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what happens when you
I
give them
get
the
it.
whole script and like their character arc and
Yeah,
motivation
and
and they
let them think about, "Oh, what would my character do? How could I embody this role on screen?" Yeah.
Yeah,
Almost like, the necessary preparation that is required of every person who wants to work in theater or film. Hmm,
almost. Yeah.
interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know.
One more if anybody would ever want to watch another good Chris Evans movie, Gifted is phenomenal.
It
He's such a good
is.
act. I love him so much. He's a good
He's really
actor.
good in that one. Yeah.
He's so good.
I
He
watched it on a
is,
plane.
aw, that's a good play movie.
It is a good plane movie, yeah.
Yeah. I feel
Because
like
there's
movies like
nothing
that.
too, I don't know. It's like it's just this. And
Yeah.
so if anybody
You
else
can't
was
watch Mad Max
watching,
Fury
you'd
Road
be
on a
like,
plane.
whoa,
You
yeah.
can't do that. No, that's a
Because
mistake.
it's
But
too involved.
Gifted. Yeah, the story is
Yeah.
it's pretty focused. You can watch it on a plane. Yeah. Um, Going back to the world the movie feels so full. That's what having a good set designer does. This is why people go to school for that. I
Uh-huh.
love the movie starting with just boom, boom. Like first of all, the music is so much fun,
Mm.
but with every note, we go to a different room and we just see, first of all, we know that Harlan Thrombey is an author. Like it tells you a lot about the type of person that lives here. We know a lot about Harlan Thrombey. Like clearly he's very eccentric and likes to collect things, likes to have a very full house. But also
Mhm.
it's just visually good to see how
Yeah.
movies and TV shows are so scared of clutter these days when that's the whole point
Yeah.
of like, I know that's a real guy.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that's a real guy. And he's, yeah, he's rich and
His
he's
front room
eccentric.
is painted like dark green and he has elaborate like rugs and he has that big circle of fake knives
Nice.
just in his house, in his sitting room.
That's just how he chose to live.
His housekeeper,
Yay!
yay! His housekeeper, goes up to give him his breakfast and she goes into the one room and he isn't there. And so then she goes into the secret staircase in the wall.
Uh-huh.
And that's just how he lives, Like this man has a rotating bookshelf.
Yeah.
He has a tunnel that nobody knows where it goes to. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, what a hero,
Yeah.
really.
We've got a false window.
Yeah, and somebody had so much fun reading this script and designing the set for the, you know what I
They
mean?
really did.
That's somebody's job.
I feel like I'd do really, really well filling a fictional house with clutter. You know, it'd be really good. Yeah, this movie, like, a good example I saw a while back was Malcolm in the Middle,
Hmm.
because that house feels
Oh, it is
so
lived
lived
in.
in.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have
we've
four
got
sons.
laundry. They've
Yeah.
got four sons. They've got laundry, and both parents work. Like, they're not going to be 100% tidy all the time. We've got snacks littered everywhere. We've got like magazines and newspapers and bills.
Hmm.
You you absorb these things subconsciously. You don't realize that you're doing it exactly, but you know this family.
Yeah.
Like you've lived in this house.
Yeah. Yeah. And Harlan Thrombey's house is clean because he has a housekeeper, but it's
Mhm.
still full
Yeah.
because he loves his career.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
he
Yep. 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 Yep.
loves
Yep.
to
Yep.
be an eccentric old man who lives in a weird large house with a bunch of random stuff. He knows that about
Absolutely.
himself.
And he accepts it.
Hmm.
He thrives on it
He embraces it.
until he dies. He's killed to death by
He's
himself.
killed to death by himself.
Yeah. Yeah. I
For his
love.
purpose. And it's like, okay, I have to say, there's the moment when Marta realizes that she may have accidentally given him the wrong dose and that he will
Mhm.
die. And she explains it'll take about 10 minutes and then you'll experience these symptoms and then you'll die. And he knows
Mhm.
and he takes it in and then he tells her the whole plan and then he doesn't experience the symptoms. And so you know that he kind of knows that she didn't do anything wrong, but he's still going to go through with this to protect her. And he also hates his family, so like, why not? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like
It
he's
works
making
either
an active
way.
choice. I did not overdose. My nurse did not do anything wrong.
Mhm.
But this is fine.
Yeah. It also goes along really well with because we have a really long, like, introductory section of the movie. We
Yeah.
get all of the characters being interviewed and talking. And I remember reading that Ryan Johnson was super stressed out about this scene because it's necessary and you need it.
Yeah.
But
He's like, what if
he
it's
was
too
like,
long? It doesn't grab
yeah,
people's interest.
yeah, exactly. It kind of drags on a little bit. And it doesn't because, first of all, cast
No,
carries
they all
it
play it so well.
so beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we have them lying to the camera and then the camera cutting back and being like, actually, and then this is what actually happened, but then them being
Yeah.
like, no, it didn't. No, I
Yeah. No,
wasn't.
I wasn't. And it's fun to
Beautiful,
have that like
lovely.
back and forth. They ask somebody a question and then somebody else answers. And it's like
Yeah,
everybody is
I love
suspicious
that.
because they're all lying. And they
They're
all
all lying.
so you're like believably before you meet Ransom, you're like any single one of these person like could have done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause they
yeah.
all are suspicious and lying for no reason. But then as it
Hmm.
turns out, none of them did do it. They're just all bad people separately.
Yeah, for separate reasons.
Yeah, and
And
that's
that's
so
good.
beautiful.
That's really lovely. They all deserve each other.
Yeah.
Derogatory. Well, one of the things
Yeah.
that Walt says is that Dad said the plots just popped into his head fully formed. And that is exactly what happens when Marta poisons him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
True.
time to think about it, but it's
He's
there,
like, if
baby.
I
He's like,
only
I
have
know
10
exactly
minutes,
what to
he's like,
do.
listen, listen, listen.
Hmm.
Let me explain this to you very carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like, I do like the thought that it, he's making an active choice, but also it works the other way too. A placebo effect is very strong, and time moves very quickly under those kind of circumstances.
Yeah.
If you choose to believe that he like really didn't register, what is going on here? Sorry, I found a big cut on my finger.
I think you're probably gonna die in about 10 minutes.
I might. Did Leo get me somehow? That's so weird.
He got you
Sorry.
at faster than the speed of light, so nobody saw it.
Yeah, I think. Anyway, like that he really just was panicky enough on behalf of Marta that he didn't think it all the way through. That he
Right.
had his murder mystery plot planned out, but not a real life consequences. Like, wait, actually, let's think rationally. Like he had already leapt to the point
Right. Right.
where he was planning
Because that's
so
what he's
theatrically. And
constantly thinking about anyway.
yes, and this is what ties him in with Ransom. Like he says this about him that he can't tell the difference between a prop knife and a real one. And
Yeah.
Harlan is kind of the same way. He can't distinguish between the theatrics of a good story and the reality of, wait, I'm actually not dizzy. I
Right.
don't
Yeah,
feel
I'm
any
not gonna
symptoms.
die. I'm not feeling these symptoms.
Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't like at the end when he's like explaining to Marta what actually happened and that it wasn't her fault. He also says, if you hadn't said anything, Harlan would still be alive today. And that's a little bit makes it feel like it was her fault. You know what I mean? That's like I wouldn't
No,
say that to somebody.
what he said is if Harlan had listened to you, then he would still be
Right.
alive today. Yeah.
Right. But then it's
Like,
like if even despite your best efforts, it was still kind of your fault because you gave him the information and he didn't receive it. You know what I mean? Like if you were in a bad headspace and you had been throwing up for 3 weeks, whatever, you might not take it that way.
I see what you're saying, but I think I disagree. This is really exciting.
Oh,
This has this happened before?
probably not. We were
Very
just talking
fun.
recently about how like we are getting bored because we never disagree with each other about movies.
Fantastic. Let's get
Yeah.
into it. Okay. I think like to me it feels really sympathetic like he says I'm
No,
so
he
sorry,
says it
Marta, but
very
you were right.
sympathetically.
Yeah. And
He's not putting any blame.
right. I feel like it's the right thing to say. Like it's he's like you did everything right. It was him because this is the way he thinks. This is the way that he thought. This is the way that Ransom was thinking. The only reason that you had to get caught up with this was because they kept playing this game.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry
I
that
do
they
like
were
that she
toying
says
with
like
your life
you
because
won.
you did everything right.
I
Yeah,
like that
you
she says
won.
you won because you played by your rules and not theirs, which is like
Yeah,
just like how
yeah,
they play their little board game.
yeah. I'm just
Whatever.
playing to put a beautiful pattern, whatever.
Yeah. Because she
Yeah.
just like is always thinking in a very beautiful and compassionate way. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I
It's fine.
it's whatever. It's like not even a big deal. I love Marta because the whole time you're like half convinced that she has done this. You're like, okay, I guess, yeah, no,
Right.
that makes sense. I guess that's what happened. It takes a lot of skill to create a character that you're pretty sure has like had a hand in someone's death and is still the most sympathetic and adorable
Yeah.
person you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Like the entire time you are
You
so
want
actively rooting for
her,
her and you see
yeah,
her
you want her to get
panic.
away with it
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, even though she did it, maybe, she clearly has never felt more distraught in her life. Like she doesn't
Yes.
have the heart of a murderer, you know?
No.
So you're like, just ignore it. Like, but then these
Hmm.
things keep adding up that are like so suspicious that it's like, there's
Hmm.
no way that she isn't part of this. Because like, why
Yeah.
did this person disappear? And why did this building burn down? And why whatever, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
this evidence stacked against her that it's like no rational person would ever think that she had nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then when you're watching it, you're like, but obviously she didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't have done that. She's a nice
Because
person. She had no
she's utterly
motivation.
without guile.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And again, she fought so hard against this. She begged Harlan to let her call an ambulance. She was going to go call the family. She
Yeah.
came back into the room and what had to watch him kill himself because she was trying to convince. She's like, "No, I'm not going to go through with
Like, we
this. I'm
still
going to
have
get you
time.
help."
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
like time and time again, you see her just trying to help people, and the more that she gets caught up with, I have to hide my guilt and cover this up, that's like the more mistakes she makes and the more it leads to more lies and like
Right.
you know that's fantastic. I
And that
love
doesn't mean
we love to see
anything.
nothing
It's
at all.
fine.
Yeah, it's like she's just a good person and
Yeah.
genuinely trying her best and then finally saying, "No, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of this. I will face the consequences for my actions, what like whatever that may be." Okay,
Hmm.
because she chose time and time again to help people. She tried to help Harlan. She tried to help Fran.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is
And she even like promises to help like Maggie, who calls her
yeah.
and manipulates her, and she's like, no, like that totally doesn't have to happen. I can help you with anything that you need, right?
Mhm.
No reason to do that because Maggie sucks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's still like, it's not even in her thought process in any way to not give something to these people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like even
Yeah.
at the end when she like they're like, you didn't do anything wrong, you you get the house, you get the fortune, whatever. She's still like, well, maybe I should give them something.
I should help them, right? And Benoit
And
Blanc is
Blanc
like,
is like, you can do what you think is best, but girl,
yeah.
no,
Oh
they
my gosh.
hate you.
Yeah. I love I love Benoit Blanc for 10,000 reasons, but one of my favorite scenes of his is at the end when Marta is she's going to try to confess, and he sees the results and is like, "Oh, hell yeah, let's go," because he now has the freedom to say
Everything that
what has
everyone
been bubbling up.
should have
Yeah,
said the whole
because
time. Yeah.
yes, he knows that she's innocent now with 100% certainty. And he wasn't going to be cruel to her if she was guilty because he knows her side of the story and he
Yeah.
knows that she's a good nurse. And with the results reveal,
Hmm.
he goes apeshit on the family. He's like, "You have not been good to her."
Yeah.
And he's got his like jacket and he's got, everything's kind of going crazy. And he's like, "Knives out, beaks bloody, ready for the feast." Because he just
Hmm.
sounds like that.
This is
He's
what he talks.
awesome. Yeah, but
He's like,
he gets to totally lose
the
his
like
temper on them.
foghorn leghorn meme audio of like you
Awesome.
pissing on the side of the bowl, boy. It's like fried chicken. It's too damn loud, boy. He gives that speech verbatim to this family.
He
Yeah,
really does.
yeah,
Yeah. It's fantastic because Marta isn't really the type of person to stick up for herself, and he's had to sit here and watch the way they treat her, knowing that
right.
it's shit
Yeah,
and
yeah,
knowing that she still is so kind to them, even though they don't deserve it. I
yeah.
wanted you at the funeral, but I was outvoted. And he's like, uh-huh. Yeah. Like,
Hmm.
um,
This
there
family of
this
like habitual
mm,
liars. Yeah, I'm gonna believe
yes,
that
yeah.
you wanted her there.
Whitney's audio cut out, but at this point we are talking about the grandmother, not Marta anymore.
She's just kind of treated like she's not there for most of it. Like none of the family even really registers her. Um,
Right.
she kind of acts like she's senile a little bit, and then Benoit Blanc sits down with her and talks. He just monologues for like 5 minutes, and then finally is like, "I hate your family because I know that they have not consoled you about your son's death, and I'm sorry."
Hmm.
Um, and that's fantastic
It's
because
like,
he knows
allow
that
me to
she's
say this because I'm pretty sure I'm the first person to have said it.
yeah,
I'm sorry
yeah,
for your loss. Yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry for your loss, and I think that you have something to tell me. But you know it's his condolences are genuine,
Yeah.
and the fact that he's just willing to sit there in the silence with her
For
for
as
as
long
long
as
as
it
it
takes.
takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
Like,
imagine like they don't show the whole conversation, of course, but you imagine
mhm.
that, they sit in silence for however long. She says what she needs to say, and then he's not just going to be like, "Great, I got what I needed," and get up and leave. Like he's still going to finish the conversation with her, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because he treats her like a person.
Yeah.
He's so this is the fun thing about him is because he is like a true Southern gentleman.
Hmm.
He is gonna be kind to his elders.
Of
He's gonna be
course.
kind to an old lady in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
Like, not just performatively, not like Joni and Meg. He means it. Like, Mama instilled those manners.
Hmm.
Good. I love him. He's fantastic. This is the thing is like all of these characters are so interesting to watch, but the ones that you are really, really rooting for are the ones that are so kind. You're
Yeah.
rooting for Marta because you know how good of a person she is and you know what she has at stake. And you're rooting for Benoit because he really is he's ridiculous, but also like genuinely wants to get to the bottom of this. I don't know. I just love it. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. It's nice
Yeah.
to watch a movie where there's like a character who's just actually cool and nice person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It should happen a lot more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But then at the
Yeah.
same time, like people get angry about movies that like if you portray something bad, you must be condoning it, blah blah blah. So there's like this weird divide
Mm,
where every character in a story is either boring or evil.
yeah.
So it's nice where how this one meets in the middle where there's like some characters that are like genuinely really bad people and you hate them, but they're at least fun to watch, so not boring, but also evil.
Yeah.
But then also like the nice people are not boring. Like they can still be in a story that involves murder and suicide and arson and
Yes.
espionage and whatever, right?
Making bad
They can still be
choices.
part of that story.
Mhm,
And they're not
mhm,
observing
mhm,
it from the
mhm.
outside and they're not boring. But what's
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah, yeah.
interesting about them is the fact that they're kind people,
Yeah.
like on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
why they win.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the moment between oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that it's going back to like how they always say that Marta is part of their family, but then they don't remember where she's from, they don't know anything about her. It's like, honestly, yeah. Like they don't care about their family either.
It's
You know what I
so
mean?
true.
Like when
Yeah.
they think that somebody else is gonna get the part of the will that they wanted, they attack them. And then they realize it's Marta and they're like, "Oh, suddenly we're all on a team against you." Which
Yeah.
is like, a mask off moment, obviously. But it's also like if it had been anybody else in the family, the same thing would have happened, right? Where they would say, "This isn't
Yeah.
fair. I need my fair share."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
in my ancestral home that my dad bought in the 80s from a
in the
Pakistani
80s.
man. So funny. They were alive at that
That's really
time.
good. That's really good. That's also the only time in the movie that we see Benoit genuinely lose his shit
Yeah.
comedically. He
Yeah.
full belly laughs at Ransom.
Yeah.
That's the most like he
Yeah.
takes his
He
job very
holds
seriously.
it
He's very professional
together
for
for
most of it,
most of
but
the time. Yeah. And then in that
that
moment, it's like he's either gonna laugh hysterically or tear his throat out.
yeah,
So,
he's got to laugh for now. There's cops in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the moment in near the end with Marta and Benoit Blanc. They're just sitting there. She has handed him the test results and she's like, "You're a really bad detective." And he's like, "You're a really bad murderer." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Besties."
Like they can kind of like rib each other, even though this has been
Yes.
the most stressful time of her life. And she
Yeah.
is an undocumented immigrant, so it's like she's had stressful times,
Yeah, she's gonna worry about
So
her
this is like
being
the moment.
deported.
Yeah.
See, this movie is phenomenal because like we have the stakes of like we have a murder to solve, but then halfway through, we have soap opera levels of drama with like the will read.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, awesome.
what? That's
Ooh.
fantastic. I did not see that coming in the slightest. I was like, I'm so busy trying to solve a murder. I got blindsided by this thing. And
Yeah.
it elevates the whole movie to a whole other level because now she's in the public eye. It's not, I'm gonna sneak under the radar with this. It's like, oh no, oh dear, oh no. It's fantastic. Like I love this way of doing plot. Because, like, there's two things, really. It's Harlan Thrombey has died. Marta thinks she killed him. She's trying to cover this up. And then we have the will read. Like, those are the two main, boom, boom, these two things happen. And then it's kind of all just falls in place in between.
Yeah.
But, like, it doesn't feel busy somehow.
Right. There's a lot going on, but it's also like you're following it every step of the way.
Yeah. And you don't feel stupid. Because it's not like, oh, I guess we'll have to explain it to you. It's you're
Right.
following along. You're treated
You'll
like an
figure it
equal.
out. When they get to the
Yeah.
end monologue, when he's finally put the final piece together, he's not saying anything that's a twist. You know what I mean? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I could see that in Marta's character, and I could see that in Ransom's character the whole time.
Yeah.
None of this is
Yeah.
like shocking to me. You know, it's not like a shock
Yeah.
twist where they just like throw in, oh, actually the mom did it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, not for
Like
shock
it's
value.
something
Exactly.
it's not for shock value. It does make sense, but you still are like, finally, like the pieces are put together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
satisfying in that way.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
One thing that I was gonna say that I will say now before I forget it, and forgive me for saying anything about BBC Sherlock.
It's been on the fringes of the conversation. We have to talk.
We had to talk
Yeah.
about it. It's just there's
Yeah.
a moment, one of the only moments that I remember from watching the show. I think it's like the episode of John's wedding, which was like the worst of the seasons, probably.
Season 3. It wasn't the worst of the seasons was season
Oh, because
4.
they kept going.
Because
Yeah.
they kept going, yeah.
Right,
They
right.
would have been if they had
Anyway,
just stopped, but
it's
they
the story
didn't.
of like
Continue.
I don't even remember if that was the episode. I think it was. It's the story of like the guard who was
Yep.
stabbed, like he had the thing in his belt, right? And
Yep.
then the line that I remember is that Sherlock says, like, while I was trying to solve a murder, John Watson saved a life. And that's like,
Oh.
this movie is what that moment was trying to be.
Yes. Yes.
Like the significance of like valuing people's lives and paying attention to the little details more than being so caught up in the drama of solving a murder and
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean? Like Martha's
Yeah.
character is that line,
Yeah. That's so true.
but like done
Yeah.
maybe better. I mean,
Yeah, I think the great tragedy about BBC Sherlock, the greatest thing about BBC Sherlock is its potential, and the worst thing about it was the
is
show.
the show.
Because unfortunately it
Somebody
was
really wise
created
must have
by
said that.
I don't know who. Maybe we'll get to the bottom of it after. It's just Stephen Moffat was behind it, and it's moments like that where it's like he has talent.
Yeah,
He is a good writer
he's a good writer. He's
in
just not a good
certain
showrunner.
contexts. Yes, yes, totally. Because that line, I had totally forgotten about that line, but when you said it just now, I felt myself choke up. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's like
imagine feeling an
one
emotion
of the
about BBC
only-
Sherlock.
yeah, it's one of the only moments that I remember from the show because it was like an actual emotional moment of like the gratitude that he has for this friend who's like an actually good person and has taught him
Yeah.
how to be a good person and also how to do his job
Yeah.
better, like both. you
Yeah.
know? It's supposed to hit really hard.
And yeah.
And it kind of does, but it would have more if it was just this movie instead.
Yeah, and you know what? Good Stephen Moffat line that does hit, and even still, and just thinking about it, I have goosebumps, is Justice Once Everybody Lives.
Mhm.
Yes, The Empty Child. Yes, Christopher Eccleston. We all know, we've all seen it, but do we
Mhm.
appreciate it enough?
Yeah, I mean,
Even still, why am I getting emotional about this? But because it is that good. It's that
so
good. And
And
that's
the
what he
whole
could have,
premise
like,
of
he,
those episodes too of like you think it's like this horrible thing where people's faces are morphing into gas masks and they're losing their identity, whatever. It's like terrifying. But then it turns
Yeah.
out that it's just somebody trying their best to solve the problem and heal these people,
yes.
and they just didn't know how to do it right. It's like,
It's so tender. It's so
Sweet.
tender. It's just a lost little boy looking for his mom and just tiny little Nana jeans
Yeah. Just
that,
doing their best, but they had the wrong information.
and as soon as they have the correct information,
They fix
baby, we're
it.
back in business.
And
That's
this is
so-
once
I
everybody
have
lives, baby.
Olivia, I have never thought about it like that before, and I'm getting emotional all over again. That's so tender. That's so tender. This is Steve
That
Moffat.
used
He
to be
can
such a
do
good
these
show.
things. I don't even like to think, like, I don't know. I can't think about it without getting upset.
Like there was no evil motive. It just was genuinely like we're trying, but we had the wrong information.
Yeah.
Kind of like this movie.
Yeah. And we're back on track, and that was on purpose.
And
We're
that
full
was
circle.
on purpose, okay?
One more thing I'll say about the empty child is the only reason that it spread so quickly was because they kept trying to help the child, and it kept spreading through the hospital because so many doctors and nurses were like in contact with each other. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. So there's
but
that.
so that's fine and that's okay. Whatever. Knives Out.
Good movie.
Good movie. So I remember the advertising too, because I was on my mission when it came out. And I
Yeah.
remember being in Walmart and seeing, you know, how they do the displays with like a big box of it. I remember looking at it and being like, what is this? It's like a
Yeah.
Clue kind of, because everyone is wearing such vibrant colors and like they're all posing. We've got Jamie Lee Curtis in the center. We've got Chris Evans in kind of a ratty old sweater. Hello. Benoit Blanc.
Yeah.
All right. And
And
I
what's not to
couldn't
love
even
about
hear
that
him
character
talking.
immediately.
Exactly. I was like, I just thought, oh, Daniel Craig. Okay, is he in a green suit? All right, can go off. And then watching the movie, he's like, my presence will be ornamental. Huh. Okay, say less. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good. Marta, her only motivation ever is to help people. She's a nurse. She wants to protect her mom, who's undocumented. She doesn't want her to get deported. She wants to help Harlan. She wants to help Fran. She even wants to help Ransom, who's
Yeah.
the worst person in the world. And I love that her biggest moment of realization at the end was, oh my gosh, that's right. You made the help call you Hugh because you're an asshole.
you're
I
an
forgot about
asshole.
that. You're an
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah.
Of course.
It was such a stressful
love
week.
that.
I forgot to consider the fact that you suck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she finally gets to say it, which is awesome.
It is really good. It's like she's so inclined to help people just naturally that when he starts to help her, she's like a little suspicious of it, but not when he's like, I hate my family and that's enough reason to help you. She doesn't question it any further because that's the kind of person that she is.
Yeah.
She's
like, well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
like
because
the
she's
only
kind and she would help people like
100%
that.
altruistic person to have ever lived.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, okay, we haven't even talked about this, but she vomits when she lies.
Yeah.
I remember talking to somebody about this movie and they were like, that's just so unrealistic. It doesn't even make any sense. And honestly, it might not have even been a person that I was having a conversation with. It might have been like
Do you like over
CinemaSins type situation. Like it might have been a video I watched or a comment or something. I don't remember because obviously I don't keep those kind of people in my life.
Of course.
And like, no, obviously not. But like, can't you
First
just
of
take
all,
it at face value?
Yeah,
It's
like
so fun.
it's a key part of the story and it's fun and unusual and a twist on like, it's fun to have a character that is definitely not lying.
Yes.
It's
And that's
unusual
a
in a
problem.
murder mystery for a character to never lie, and if she does, it's immediately obvious because she gets
Yeah.
physically ill. Like the idea of lying makes her nauseated even before she lies. Like
Yeah.
it's a fun twist. And also, some people have conditions that are different from yours. So think about that.
Also, potentially, what if it's just fun? Have you thought about that? Have you considered the fact that a movie
It's a
where
murder
Daniel
mystery
Craig
movie starring Daniel Craig doing a very bad Southern accent. Okay, it's fun.
what else do you want?
Are you listening? Wake up,
You've been in the coma for 10 years.
please. You have a family.
Chris Evans, an old sweater. I'm begging you.
Please wake up.
I do
He
love that
gets
this
to play
movie,
a regular guy. They don't
he
make him take off
does.
his shirt. He's just normal,
He's just a
please.
regular guy. He even gets to be a mean guy.
Yes.
Acting chops. Let's go. Let's see him. Also, the funniest scene in the movie by far is at the end when big dramatic moment. He's got the knife in hand. It's all slow motion.
Oh
He's
yeah.
got he's, Marta, they're falling down, and then we land, we hear the knife go chink, and then we're there for a while. Like
Yeah.
15 seconds probably. And then he's looking at her and she's looking at him, and then he goes, huh? You hear the spring, and he goes, beep, 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 beep.
He tries it a couple more
He
times.
tries a couple more times.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And I love that they like obviously we've got Benoit Blanc, we've got Trooper Ragnar, and we have
Lakeith
uh
Stanfield, baby.
Stanfield, all three in the room, all moving to like stop him. But we got the movie going like, well, no, hold on just a second. I know you guys are gonna get like take him into custody, but we just need to stop for a second. We just need to sit in this moment of that is so funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It gets me every time.
That's what movies are about, actually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And again, it doesn't feel like it's snarky or like, I don't
Get a
know.
load of
It's
this
just,
guy. It's just
yeah,
funny.
it's just
And
funny.
they've
And
been
again, it
setting it
ties back
up.
into the statement.
Remember, the whole time they've been saying she plays the game better than he does, and he cannot tell a real knife from a prop knife. We've known from the
We
beginning.
we're always saying this.
This
hmm
movie is like
hmm
the
hmm
holes of murder mysteries.
That is so
Yeah.
true.
There's a lot going on, but it's not too complicated. The
And it
foreshadowing
all
is
ties back
good,
in.
and the
It's
characters
good.
all suck except for the ones who are genuinely super good.
Yeah. Yeah.
These things are the same. It's the same picture.
That's real. Yeah. Nothing bad happens to the good ones.
Yeah.
And I do, so this is, of course, part of a larger universe where Benoit Blanc goes on to solve a case with the glass
Mhm.
onion. And that's phenomenal. I
He's
love that
like
movie too. I really enjoyed it.
Poirot,
I liked that it was
yeah.
different. Yeah, it's not this movie. Totally different story, totally different solution. Like, but same world, same vibes. That's fun. I like that. And I appreciate that Rian Johnson, he's like, no, it's not a Knives Out movie. It's not a sequel. It's like, you have all of these disconnected stories in the same universe, like Agatha Christie, like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
the same guy solving the
Like the
crimes, but
famous authors of detective stories
exactly. It's not a
of yore.
cinematic universe.
Right.
It's just stories. I, having said all of that, I know what he was trying to do and I appreciate it,
Yes.
but
But
I
we should
do
see
think
some of these
that
characters come
he
back.
is on a group chat with Marta, and
Yeah.
I can't remember her name from Glass Onion at the moment. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I do think that he just like
Oh yeah.
collects friends from his
Yeah.
cases. Yeah,
Does
and
that.
they're in group chats together. I believe that. I do like,
He has like probably a Discord.
yeah,
Yeah.
he really does. I love, yeah, he's phenomenal. Um, his husband is that guy,
Yeah,
um,
he is.
and that's good.
That's awesome.
That's so great. It's
And
fantastic because
they've both had very strong acting careers for
Mhm.
decades, right?
Yeah.
And all so that they could meet as old men and be gay lovers in Glass Onion, A Knives Out story.
Yeah,
And God works in mysterious ways. So what can I say?
that's so true. Hugh, is that his name?
Yeah, Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. That's it. Thank you. I
Yeah.
couldn't
I
tell
was
if
just
my
watching
mind was
like
giving me Hugh because of Hugh Ransom
Hugh
in the
Ransom
movie. Yeah.
last
Yeah. Okay.
but no,
Hugh
his
Grant. Thank
name
you.
is Hugh Grant. I have a
Yeah, it
cousin named
is.
after him.
You
And I was just
do.
watching the other day a movie that he's in with Sandra Bullock. And it's just like a classic rom-com, but one of them that's like actually enjoyable instead of just being like a cookie cutter.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
is it?
2 Weeks Notice.
Okay, I'll write it down. I like both of those people.
Yeah, yeah. And they're both the Lakeith Stanfield of rom-coms where it's like, I'll watch it because they're in it. you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you watch a
Yeah.
rom-com that you're like, this should not have been made. It's like boring, it's blasé, it's whatever. But then sometimes you watch them that you're like, okay, I see why this is like a popular genre. You know?
Yeah.
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 It's like I know
Yeah.
it isn't a good movie or like a perfect movie, but it's like so fun.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it's
Like,
supposed to be. Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally is the pinnacle of a romantic comedy. It's a good
Perfect.
movie for the
Peak
genre.
romance,
And
peak
yeah,
comedy. Okay?
exactly. Perfect of both of them and better than the
Mhm.
sum of its parts. All of
Yes.
these things combined. It's like
Beautiful
if a woman
cinema. Carrie
can be a
Fisher
good
is in
driver
it.
for a woman and a good driver total. It is both of these things. It's a good movie
Yeah.
and it's a good rom-com.
Yeah.
I'm saying this literally every single day, but then
Mhm.
you have a movie like I don't even know. I don't even have any good examples. I got distracted by my own like
I got distracted thinking about When Harry Met Sally.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a good movie.
It's a
It's
really good
so
movie.
good. But like, yeah, you have rom-coms that are just fun for the sake of being a rom-com. It's not
Yeah.
like they're gonna win any award. Like Mamma Mia too.
Right. It's not going to win any awards, but like, are you
Is it
not
fun?
having fun? Are you not
Are you not
entertained?
entertained? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Mhm.
I'll have to watch it.
You should watch it, and you should also watch the one
Hmm.
that Haley and Emily and I had watched that time.
Oh,
Love
Love
at
at
First
First
Sight.
Sight,
And it's
not
not called
First
Love at
Flight.
First Flight, even though they meet on a
Hmm.
plane.
Yeah.
But it's explained later, so you don't have to be mad at the title because it happens in the movie that's why it's called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. Um, I was watching Psych this week, and um, Sean calls Juliet and is like, "I'm Keanu Reeves, and I'm living in a lake house, communicating with myself 2 years into the future. I don't know what to do about this." And I have never ever caught that line before,
Mhm.
but
Well, because
I
he's
was like,
constantly
"The
throwing out
movie."
references like
Yeah,
at the
and
speed of sound.
it's hard to tell a lot of the time if he's referencing something or if he's just talking bullshit because he does
Yeah,
both
true.
so often. And a
Yeah.
lot of the times it's like, I love him so much because if you catch the reference, then it's fun. Like this, I was like, that's the lake house. Watch that. That's got Keanu Reeves in it. I
Yeah,
love him.
and famously Sandra Bullock, who,
Sandra
as we
Bullock,
say,
both
is
of
worth
those.
watching in a movie.
That is true. That is
Mhm.
true. It's awesome. It's super fun,
Yeah.
but also not overly distracting if you don't get the reference. That's it.
Right. Because
Yeah.
you're just like, he's just talking. He does
He just
that.
does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn to tune him out after a while.
Yeah.
I love that show. I love
Really
because
good show.
first season is like a little shaky. They're trying to figure it out. Sean
Yeah.
Spencer is like a
There's
little
some
bit
really
toxic
solid
masculinity.
moments.
There's some really solid moments.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's like he kind of makes fun of Gus for like his interests and things. But then by the later seasons, he's like, Gus, you're so cool that you know that. You're awesome. That's
Yeah.
so neat and sexy. You deserve the world. I was gonna say this also. Going back to while I was trying to solve a murder, he was trying to save a life moment.
Yeah.
I love when Sherlock Holmes really appreciates his John Watson because during their high school reunion episode,
I
Sean
was
gets up and
literally
makes a
just thinking the
speech.
same thing.
Yes. He
Ugh.
gets up and gives the biggest speech, the most emotional he's ever been, even more than when he's talking to like Juliet or Abby, like more
Yeah.
emotional than anything. He's like,
Yeah.
if you can look yourself in the mirror and say that you have been half as good a friend to anyone as Gus has been to me, then you can say that you are truly great. And like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Well, there's
Oh my
that.
gosh.
And there's even in the same episode a different moment where it's just them and Abby, and he's like, he was most likely to succeed. You think he would date me?
Yeah.
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 So cute. And
I
Abigail's like,
love them.
good point. But then she still gets
They're
with him
both-
anyway, so that's like,
Yeah.
whatever.
She wasn't voted most likely to be great.
Yeah.
I can lower my standards.
Yeah.
No, I love them. I love when friends, they're the
Nice to
perfect
each other.
amount of, yes, they love each other so much. They
Yeah.
get along and they bicker, sure, but it's
Of
more
course.
like they're siblings.
Yeah.
You know, like you're when you're so close with someone, like, yeah, you can bicker with them. And I love that they can fight and be angry,
Yeah.
but it's not really super stressful
Never
because they
relationship
know
threatening. Yeah.
exactly. Like they can get pissy with each other. Gus can kick Sean out of the car for saying something stupid because they both know it's not going to ruin anything long term. They love each other and they choose to hang out with each other all the time
On
outside of
purpose.
work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love them People should be friends more often. Have we heard of this? Have people heard of this?
Yeah, I love the characters in Psych, if only friendship were real.
Oh, it's so good. Anyway, Knives Out is fantastic. Psych is fantastic also.
Yeah,
Watch that.
everything that we've mentioned, except for maybe that Sherlock Holmes episode, just because there's so much going on in
Yeah.
that show. Everything else that we've mentioned and referred to is worth watching.
Hearty endorsement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it this afternoon and now I'm like, maybe I should go back and watch it just one more time, just for fun.
Yeah.
It's so, yeah. I might watch, we could always talk about Glass Onion
Yeah,
at
I
some
think we
point in the
should do Glass
future.
Onion.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
could do like murder mysteries slash silly comedies if we want to do Knives Out and then UHF and
Clue?
Glass Onion. And then
We
Clue,
Clue?
both.
Clue? We can do Clue at the end of the month
And Clue at the end of the month because it's both.
because it's the finale.
It's
It is
silly
the
comedy and it's murder mystery and it's so fun.
and Tim Curry is in it.
And Tim
Tim
Curry
Curry
in
also
that
is in an episode
movie.
of Psych, which is how you know it's a perfect show because
Yeah.
Tim Curry is in it. And
The
also
Tim
Tim
Curry
Curry
Hall.
is the butler in Clue. Yep,
In
yes,
Clue.
you heard that correctly. I was thinking this happened to me at work the other day. I was thinking about I don't know what it's from. It's that clip of Tim Curry like I will escape to the last place that has not been infected by capitalism. Space. You know that one?
Space. Yeah, yeah, and he like has spits out the word space. I have seen that and I
Cut
have
out for a
no
second.
idea what it's from. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's very
Space.
funny.
Yeah.
He's such a good actor.
Yeah.
He can't even get through that line because it's so ridiculous.
It's so stupid. And it's also like maybe not true. But anyway.
It's not, certainly not. Maybe it was when they made it, but not anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have.
So funny. Have you seen Brennan Lee Mulligan's Tim Curry impression
No.
on like
Do a
Make
good
Some Noise? He does it, I think, a couple times in different like Dropout shows. But what I heard is that that's why he got a job at Dropout to begin with, like at College Humor.
No way.
It's really funny. I'll send you, there's like a clip of him, I think on Make Some Noise, where his prompt is like Tim Curry doing an advertisement for Hot Topic.
Which is something I feel like I could see him doing.
It's awesome.
His role in Tim Curry's role in Psych
Mhm.
is so funny, and I do think it's the greatest tragedy that his character never made another appearance because
Yeah.
he
He's
interacts with
incredible.
Henry Spencer for like 2 seconds, and Henry's like, "I'm going to kill you and then myself." Like he hates him so much,
Yeah.
and Tim Curry's just sitting there so delighted, like, "Oh goody, oh boy, I
Mhm.
love making people hate me." His name is Nigel St. Nigel. That's his
Yeah.
character's.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole time someone is trying to kill him, and everyone around him is like, "Should we just let him?
Yeah.
Like, we have to save him? Really?"
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Everyone was having the time of their life. The source of the famous Sean clip, meh,
No.
that echoes in my head frequently. It's awesome.
It's one of the top 3 ways to say the word no, really.
Meh.
There's
Why are
that
you
way,
living like this?
and there's
But this is how.
funny. They think that that's comfortable, so it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
There's the other way to say no that's really good is my friend and former roommate Carly's friend Isis had a friend whose brother used to say it in this way. And so then the friend told, I wish I knew this girl's name, but she told Isis about it. And then one time, like a month later, she was having a really hard time. And Isis had remembered that her brother used to say no in a funny way. So she said it. And it made the friend feel better. And so then they started saying it together
Perfect.
all the time. So then Isis moved back to Georgia, where she and Carly are from, and started saying it around Carly. So then Carly was saying it all the time. Then she moved in with my friend Whitney. And Whitney and Carly were saying it all the time. Then I moved in with them. Right. You can see the chain of
It's an
events.
infectious inside joke.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
And it's like,
Hang on, I missed it.
no.
No.
It's like almost a meow, but you're saying no. That's really good. So you could ask any question. Curly, what are you gonna do?
That's so funny. Can
Yeah.
I provide? I, I don't know if you had another way to say no lined up, but I would like to submit my
I'm
third
open to
way.
suggestions. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's John Mulaney. Oh, where
Oh,
you say it as wide as possible.
yeah.
Oh, he says it with his cheeks somehow. It's like an
Yeah.
beautiful. Love
Because
it.
isn't he doing a Mick Jagger impression at the time? Famously large-mouthed man, so that kind of makes
Oh,
sense.
several. He's got several. I'm thinking of the one, the Delta one.
Ah, that's
Can
a
I
good one.
get on an airplane now, please? No.
Ooh.
Or no.
Yeah.
He's got several.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
He
the
has
beauty of it.
several. I would say the third is just any no that's clearly a John Mulaney impression. You can leave it open whether it's the Delta one, whether it's the Mick Jagger one,
Mhm.
whether it's
Yeah,
him
yeah.
saying, no, that's the thing I'm sensitive about.
Out.
They're all good.
Also good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I do. I have got myself in kind of a predicament. I don't even remember what it was. But apparently no one at my job has watched any John Mulaney, probably because he's anti-Trump and therefore the
Right.
devil.
Of the devil. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Because Trump
I don't
is
even think
God
he's
incarnate. Yeah.
anti-Trump. He's just like, this is happening, right?
Right. He seems
This is
he
there's a
talks
horse
about
loose in the
he talks
hospital.
about a huge variety of things. His like niche
Yeah,
isn't that he's anti-Trump.
yeah, yeah.
He has like one
Um,
bit about it, the horse in the hospital bit.
yeah, exactly. So it's not very, I don't know. No one I've talked to has watched him consistently, which I'm in a little bit of a pickle because I don't even remember what I said, but it was a very popular John Mulaney quote,
Hmm.
and Noah and Talia and Jen all thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. And I was like,
The
oh,
thing is that needs to happen is that you need to start plagiarizing John Mulaney's work as your own in the office, and then everyone will think that you're
that's
funny.
yeah,
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 that's what you should
totally.
do.
Because clearly people aren't getting my sense of humor.
Right.
That's not sticking.
And
I
they're not going
the
to
other day at
detect
work,
that you're stealing jokes from other people because they don't listen to
exactly. They're
stand-up
not gonna
comedy
watch
because
him.
that's for liberals in comedy.
Exactly, exactly. This happened the other day. I got to work and there were two or three people waiting outside. They had forgotten their keys, and I was like, "Oh, good. I have a key. This is my job. I'll open the door for them." And they made some joke about like, I guess I'm just packing the unessential things. I don't pack my key, but I'll pack like an extra soda for the day or something. And I was like, "Yeah, I know." Deadpan. I was like, "I wouldn't know anything about packing unessentials." And I pulled out three full bags of googly eyes for Halloween decorations that I'm working on.
Mhm.
And they all went, oh. And it was early enough that I was like, I tried to explain it. It's not like I could
No.
just, yeah, that's what happened because I couldn't just let it rest. I couldn't find my key and I was trying to make it work. Like it was just so much was happening all at once in the morning. And
It
it
was
was
everything everywhere all at once, except it was everything at one place in the morning.
exactly, yeah, clearly whatever I'm doing isn't working. So
Yeah.
stealing from John Mulaney's material, I think could help.
Yeah, and he's never gonna
That
know.
was funny though, right? The
That's
googly eye
funny.
thing,
I
that
would have
worked out.
laughed, or gone, because if somebody delivers a joke deadpan, you can also like respond to them deadpan in a way that's like
Dead.
matching their energy. I would have done
Yeah.
one of those two things. Yeah.
I was like, oh, you only have three bags of googly eyes? Okay. But,
Yeah.
well, you're kind of
Kind
close.
of
Like
chump
you, yeah,
change, but
totally.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just serious enough that you could tell that they didn't think it was funny, but didn't want to be rude.
They were thinking of calling security on you once again.
Yeah.
How
Oh
many
yeah.
googly eyes just on her? And she called it essential? Yeah,
All different sizes, baby.
of course. Like, obviously, I understand this.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
This is why we're still friends. This is why we were friends in the first place. I can't guarantee that, but I feel like the first time you made eye contact with me, you were like, I bet this girl's got googly eyes in her bag.
Yeah. I can't say for sure, but there's something kind of,
Well, this was fun. We
yeah,
got to talk about
a good
movie.
movie finally. It's only been a week,
It felt
but
good.
still.
We needed it. Yeah. I don't know about you, but my thoughts have been consumed by the other one.
Yeah,
So, yeah, no, it was good.
I'm glad.
It was much needed.
It was. And next week we're going to talk about something funny.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Funny.
Do
Yeah.
you want to watch it
Have you ever
together
watched it?
or no?
We should watch it together because it is so fun. And I think that it's a fun one to watch with somebody because it's silly.
Yay! Oh,
This
goody old
movie,
boy.
before we had ever seen the whole thing, Neil and I were constantly quoting this movie to each other.
That's funny. Like Masterminds. You
Yeah.
used to
Like
Ma-
Masterminds, I used to quote Masterminds because all of my friends would quote Masterminds in the MTC, and I hadn't seen
Yeah.
it, but I felt like I had seen it because of how detailed their references were. Yeah. I was just thinking about that one the other day
They
too.
don't make it anymore.
Prescription! You're crazy! Yeah.
That is a really funny movie. That's
Yeah.
one that's maybe not very good, but I never get tired of watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason
Uh,
Sudeikis is in that one.
oh, that is the endorsement that I needed. I'm finally gonna watch it now.
Yay! Call me when you watch it. I want to watch it with you.
Okay. Yeah, we should do every other murder mystery slash silly comedy. We can do that one too.
Great.
Yeah.
Deal. Let's do it.
Cool.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell the wife and kids hello.
Will do. And
Great.
same to you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
Bye.
Bye.